The first thing you learn when humans begin cohabitating with aliens is that privacy becomes a suggestion rather than a rule. The second thing you learn is to triple-check your messages before hitting send. I learned both lessons on the same night. I lived in Unit 47B of the Halcyon Residential Arcology, a towering lattice of glass and alloy that housed humans, off-world diplomats, traders, and species I still couldn't pronounce correctly. The arcology had been humanity's great compromise after first contact. We'll share our planet, but please stay in the same buildings. My alien neighbor lived next door. Her name was Lyris. She had moved in 3 months earlier, escorted by city officials and 2 silent security drones. Officially, she was listed as a cultural liaison from the Volari Collective. Unofficially, everyone on our floor knew she wasn't just a diplomat. The Volari didn't send nobodies across star systems. Lyris was tall and willowy, with skin that shimmered faintly like moonlit water. Her eyes reflected light in strange angles, as if they were always looking slightly beyond the room. She spoke flawless English, though her pauses were sometimes unsettling, like she was choosing between multiple meanings at once. We weren't friends. We were polite neighbors. Nods in the hallway. Shared elevator rides. Occasionally, she'd ask if the water pressure in my unit was acceptable, a question I never understood, because why would I know what acceptable meant to an alien? Still, I liked the quiet. Lyris never hosted guests, never played music, never slept, as far as I could tell. And then, on a rainy Thursday night, I ruined everything with one wrong text. It happened around 11:47 p.m. I was half awake on my couch, scrolling through messages from my friend Mark, who had just moved to another arcology across the city. Mark? Dude, tell me your creepy alien neighbor hasn't tried to read your mind yet.
Me? Not yet.
But if I vanish, tell my story. Mark, seriously though, what's she like? Me, honestly? Too quiet. Sometimes I think she's listening through the walls. I meant to type. She's probably cataloging us for some galactic database. Instead, with sleep-blurred eyes, I typed, Me. I think she can hear everything. Sometimes I wonder if she knows I'm scared of her. I stared at the screen. Then my stomach dropped. The message wasn't blue. It was gray. Sent to Lyris. I felt the blood drain from my face.
No.
No, 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 I whispered, scrambling upright. My fingers hovered uselessly over the screen. The message had already been delivered. Read receipts weren't a thing with Volari communicators, because of course they weren't. I considered sending a follow-up. Sorry, wrong person. But somehow that felt worse. I sat frozen, listening to the rain tapping against the arcology's curved windows. 10 seconds passed.
20. Then my door chimed.
Not a polite chime. An immediate one. Like the person on the other side had arrived before I could even process the mistake. My heart slammed against my ribs. I stood slowly, every instinct screaming at me not to open the door. The hallway camera activated automatically, projecting the image onto the wall beside the door. Lyris stood there, perfectly still, unsmiling. Her eyes were fixed on the door, on me. The timestamp read 11:48 p.m. She had crossed the distance from her unit to mine in seconds. I swallowed hard and opened the door. Good evening, Lyris said softly. Her voice was calm. Too calm. I apologize for the late hour, she continued, tilting her head in a way I'd learned meant curiosity. But you expressed fear. It required clarification. I stepped back instinctively, giving her space. I'm sorry. That message wasn't meant for you. I am aware, she said. However, it was addressed to me. That implies intention, whether conscious or not. That did not make me feel better. She glanced past me into my apartment. May I enter? Every human instinct screamed don't, but arcology protocol was clear. Denying a registered alien diplomat entry after initiating contact was considered rude at best, suspicious at worst. I nodded and stepped aside. The door sealed behind her with a soft hiss. Up close, Lyris smelled faintly metallic, like rain on hot steel. Her eyes flicked around my apartment, absorbing details with unnerving speed. "You believe I listened through the walls," she said. "I didn't say." "You did," she corrected gently, "in your message. But your fear is incomplete." She turned to face me fully. "You are afraid of what I might hear." I forced a laugh. "I think that's just human paranoia." "No," Lyra said. "It is survival instinct. You are correct to feel it." That was the moment I realized I might have made a catastrophic mistake. She sat across from me at my small dining table, folding herself gracefully into the chair as if she'd practiced human furniture. I poured water with shaking hands, noticing she didn't touch her glass. "You asked if I can hear everything," she said. "The answer is yes." My pulse spiked. "The walls," she clarified, "the electrical vibrations, the neural residue humans emit when emotionally aroused. All of it is audible to me." I stared. "Then why pretend you can't?" "Because your species is not prepared for constant observation," she replied. "You fracture under it." I laughed weakly. "That's comforting." "You misunderstand," Lyris said. "I am not your observer. I am your shield." That caught my attention. Shield from what? She hesitated. And for the first time since I'd met her, Lyris looked uncertain. "There are others like me in this city," she said slowly. "Not all are bound by treaty. Some are scouts."
My throat went dry.
Scouts for what? For suitability. The word hung heavy between us. She leaned closer. "Your message triggered a monitoring protocol. Emotional disclosure directed at a Volari without intent indicates potential compatibility." "I sent a text by accident," I said. "Accidents do not exist in neural probability," Lyris replied. "Only outcomes you are not conscious of yet." I pushed back my chair.
"Okay.
"I think you should leave." She didn't move. "Too late," she said. The lights flickered. My apartment's smart panel blinked, then went dark. Lyris stood abruptly, her posture alert. They detected the signal. My fear spiked into full panic. "Who did?" She turned toward my window, eyes glowing faintly. "The ones I was meant to keep you hidden from." The glass rippled, and then something pressed against it from the outside. I stumbled back as a shadow passed over the arcology, massive and angular, blotting out the city lights. My ears rang with a low-frequency hum that vibrated through my bones. "What is that?" I shouted. "An assessment vessel," Lyris said. "They believe you initiated contact. I texted you." "To them, that is enough," she replied. "Your fear resonated across channels you cannot perceive." The window fractured, not shattered, but phased, and a beam of pale light swept across my apartment. Symbols crawled through the air like living equations. Lyris moved fast. She stepped in front of me, spreading her hands. The air around her bent, forming a shimmering barrier that stopped the scanning beam inches from my chest. "Stay behind me," she ordered, the first command I'd ever heard from her. "Why are they after me?" I yelled. "Because humans are nearing a threshold," she said, straining. "And you, specifically, are adaptable." The beam intensified. Cracks spiderwebbed through the barrier. "They will take you," Lyris continued, voice tight, "study you, replicate you. Your species would not notice until it was too late." My mind reeled. "Then why help me?" She glanced back at me, eyes blazing with something dangerously close to emotion. "Because you were kind to me when you did not have to be," she said. "Because you feared me and still chose honesty." The barrier shattered. The lights surged forward. And then Lyris did something impossible. She grabbed my wrist. The world folded. When reality snapped back into place, we were standing in an empty maintenance corridor deep within the arcology's lower levels. The air smelled of dust and ozone. My legs gave out, and I collapsed against the wall. The hum faded. The vessel was gone. Lyris released my wrist slowly, as if afraid I might break. "That maneuver," she said softly, "will expose me." "You just saved my life." I breathed. She nodded. "And compromised my mission." Silence stretched between us. Finally, I asked, "What happens now?" Lyris met my gaze. "Now you are known." My heart sank. "But," she added, "you are not unprotected." She straightened, her expression resolute. "I will formally claim you as my responsibility under Volari law." I blinked. "You're what?" She smiled faintly, the first genuine smile I'd ever seen from her. "Neighbor is an insufficient designation." "What are you saying?" "I am saying," Lyris replied, "that one wrong text has altered both our futures." The lights in the corridor flickered back on. Above us, the city continued as if nothing had happened. I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized my fear had changed. It wasn't gone, but it wasn't empty anymore. "Guess I should start proofreading my messages," I said weakly. She laughed, a soft, alien sound that echoed through the corridor. "Yes," she agreed. "But if you make another mistake..." Her eyes met mine. "I will still be standing at your door." And this time, I wasn't sure whether that terrified me or reassured me. Weeks later, the arcology felt different. Not quieter, just aware. Security drones lingered longer in the halls. Off-world transmissions spiked at odd hours. And every so often, I'd feel that same pressure in the air, like the universe pausing to see what I'd do next. Lyris remained my neighbor, officially reassigned as my cultural guardian. Unofficially, she became something far more complicated. We talked at night. About Earth. About Volari space. About how humans rushed forward without understanding what was watching from the dark. She taught me how to feel the subtle shifts in energy when something unseen passed nearby. I taught her sarcasm, bad movies, and why humans text things they don't mean when they're tired and lonely. The scouts never returned, not openly anyway. Volari law held.
For now.
Sometimes, late at night, I'd stare at my phone before sending even the simplest message. Not out of fear anymore, but respect. Because I understood now that communication wasn't just words. It was invitation. One wrong text had nearly cost me my freedom, but it also revealed the truth hiding in plain sight. We were never alone, never unobserved, and never as insignificant as we believed. One evening, as city lights shimmered beyond the window, I asked Lyris the question that had been sitting in my chest for weeks. "Did you always plan to protect me?" She looked at me for a long moment, eyes reflecting 1,000 distant stars. "No," she said honestly. "But once you reached out, even by mistake, you became part of my future." Outside, something moved far beyond the sky, watching, waiting. But this time, it didn't come closer. Because it knew something had changed. I wasn't just human anymore. I was claimed. And whatever came next, I wouldn't be facing it alone.